Hi, Tasha.
Run.
How are you, honey? Yeah, we'll do our wave.
I know.
I feel like I look blue. I don't look blue to you? No?
I mean, it could be my eyes.
Well, then there's that. How are you today? How was your week? As if I don't talk to you every day. I don't talk to you 3 or 4 days. I mean, 3 or 4 times a day.
My week was very interesting this week. As you know, I'm doing a study on abundance, which has been really great for me. Definitely challenging from a meditation standpoint.
Wait, are you doing a study or are you doing a meditation on abundance?
Well, sure.
So we're doing a meditation, a 21-day Deepak Chopra meditation. Yeah, you sounded real smart talking about you were doing a study on abundance. I was like, really? Really, you are?
Well, that's been great. And the meditation has definitely been needed in my life. And I missed it one day this week and I felt the difference, right? So I missed it because I was really tired because I had to take my kid to the ER on Wednesday night because he fell and busted his chin and had to get 5 stitches. And that was way more than this mama had planned for. I never stitches, no broken bones, none of that. And I had to sit there and watch that because I had to be the one being strong and holding his hand. I was not ready. So I was a little stressed out. And so I slept a little late on Thursday morning and missed my meditation. And so I think it's going to be interesting after the 21 days to see what happens on day 22, right? Am I going to go back to day 1? Do I incorporate some of the other things that I've learned, like with Jay Shetty? Yeah.
Well, okay, for those people who are just joining in, we are Tasha and Sharon, the accountability queens.
We always do that, right?
We always do that. We just kind of go into conversation and, you know, you get on me about not starting off too quickly.
Well, it's your fault because you asked me a question. So
it is my fault. It's my fault.
And I am
Sharon. And I'm Sharon, and I'm in North Carolina. We are accountability partners and have been for the past 9 years now. And what we do is we help people identify their ideal accountability partner and then teach them how to make that relationship successful. Tasha and I have been at this for 9 years, and it has been great because we've been able to really achieve some things personally, professionally, financially, emotionally, physically, because we have each other to kind of be each other's support and accountability partners. So it's been really fantastic. And so
we got together as accountability queens to try and, you know, share, you know, how we've learned to do this together with other people, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's been great. And so what Tasha was just talking about is that we have been taking part of this 21-day meditation challenge, Deepak Chopra on abundance. And it's been really, really good. So shout out to Sabria who sent it to me and I sent it, and, you know, you kind of keep expanding it on and on and on. But in the spirit of accountability, let's talk about what we did with accountability before we get into our most exciting guest, Anna Custer Singh, who's coming up in just a moment. But let's just talk really quickly about accountability and what we did, or what your thoughts about our accountability this week.
So first off, I want to say I'm watching the comments. So as people are joining us tonight, we want to welcome you. So give us a shout out. Let us know that you're listening. Let us know where you're listening in from. And please be a part of the conversation. Questions are always welcome. So this week, from accountability standpoint, we talked about looking back at our 10-year goals. And so we wanted to go back and find when we first started really getting kind of deep into the different groups, you know, that we wanted to progress in. And that was around 2015. Probably maybe 2014, but 2015 is when we had the big whiteboards and all that stuff, and went back and found
big sessions.
And so, I mean, for me, it was amazing to see how far we've come, even from a depth perception, you know? I feel like we had goals back then and we wrote some things out. But personally, I feel like I've gotten deeper with what I want, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's good. I think what was great about that exercise is that we looked at where we were in 2015, and quite frankly, we met all those goals.
Well, I don't know about the kipping pull-ups if you've met that goal yet.
I didn't.
All is very inclusive.
Let me say this. I did meet. So kipping pull-ups are special pull-ups that are often done in CrossFit workouts. Tasha and I are both CrossFit athletes because that was one of our goals. And it's a special yeah. I can do it. I can do it. I may not be able to do 10 in a row, but I can do it. But to be honest, we're in COVID and I can't go into the gym. So.
All right. That's what I was say. I hear you. Yeah, it is amazing, the power of writing something down and it comes to pass. And that's been my experience year after year.
Yes, writing something down, having someone holding you accountable to it, right? Yeah. Because if I wasn't in the gym 3 to 4 times a week, there was Tasha there asking me, what's up? What you doing? What's going on? Yeah. And so I have a healthier, stronger body today as a result.
And being able to celebrate growth, right? Because we both know each other's goals. Like personally, I had a moment of celebration today and I couldn't wait. It had nothing to do with money or exercise or anything. It was really something personal that I had been working on. Yeah. And I was able to say, I did it, right? And so it was really great to have somebody to celebrate with. We got Tondalea in from Fort Washington. Good evening.
Hey,
Tondalea. Aunt Yvonne is on.
Hi, Aunt. How are you?
All right.
So let's get into our guest tonight, Anna Custer Singh. It brings me great joy to bring Anna because Anna and I have been very good friends since probably 2009 because we both made career transitions. It was almost like we mirrored each other in many ways and we didn't even know each other. And then, of course, we met in 2009, I think it is. She might say 2008. We're going to say somewhere around there. We didn't know it was going to be kismet. We didn't know we'd have a relationship that lasts for decades, but it is, and we are. But our paths were really just aligned professionally in many ways. She actually got a job that I was vying for, and she got the job. I'm so glad. But I want to say this in hindsight. I'm so glad she got the job. She was the better woman for the job. And sometimes it's a lesson in the thing you don't get is really for somebody else. And it's okay. But we ended up becoming friends. And I remember we met really briefly at in my office. She stopped by. She saw I was in my office. And we said, hey, we should go out, and just meet after work sometime. Well, and then love was had. And we called it our strategy session. And we have been holding strategy sessions now all around the country. Since then. So now let me introduce Anna. Should we talk about what Anna's doing while we're talking to Anna tonight? I guess now's a good time to do it, right?
Yeah. I think
Anna,
so.
Okay, yeah. So we're just talking. So Anna, an amazing woman, but she's always been a rock star to me. Let me say that. And this year, she did something absolutely extraordinary. She gave her kidney to her husband. Her husband had always had kidney issues, but this year it became detrimental and he needed a new kidney and he needed an organ donation. And so, this girl hit the road running. I mean, she put that cape on her back. She said, I am Superwoman. She got people to donate, to raise their hand and say, I will sign up and give, I will sign up and offer to see if I can be a match. Started a nonprofit, started a hashtag. I mean, was on television, was doing interviews. I mean, my girl is a cape, and she ended up being the one to give her husband the kidney within 90 days. So I'm going to bring in Anna Custer Singh, my dear friend. Hi, Anna.
Hello. I've got to wave with this hand.
How are you, my dear?
I am doing unbelievable. It's a beautiful Saturday here, and we've had an awesome family day. So now it's just winding up with the two of you and loving life.
And where's here, Anna?
Here is the Kansas City suburbs on the Kansas side, which is important if you're here. Everybody else doesn't really care, but if you're here, you have to say if you're on the Kansas side or the Missouri side.
So, Anna, I just spoke really briefly about how we knew each other, and I'm just going to say, who knew you'd be in Kansas one day and I'd be in North Carolina? Who knew?
There are so many things that we could talk about on the who knew side.
That's life, right? that is absolutely life. All right, so Anna, we're going to get to it because I tell you all the time, I think you're a rock star. I know your husband thinks you're a rock star. You are a Shero for sure. All right, so you got faced with your husband needing a life-changing organ donation.
Mm-hmm.
Many people, particularly, and at the time that happened, we hadn't hit COVID yet, but it's still an earth-shaking experience to have. You hit the ground running. Many people would have been caught like their head was in headlights, right? Like a deer in headlights, I should say. How did you handle that? Like, where did that strength come? Because you went straight into action. Like, you didn't take a breath. You went there. How'd you do it?
Yeah, well, and I appreciate the opportunity to share, because what I didn't realize when this issue of kidney disease hit our family and the issue of transplants were needed is that we have more than 13,000 people 130,000 people in this country right now who could use a kidney transplant.
Wow.
130,000 people who are currently waiting on the kidney list to get either a deceased kidney or a living kidney. Wow. And when I first heard that number, I thought, well, hey, we're nothing really special. We're just one of this 130,000 figure. But it also made me realize that, hey, we could mobilize a lot of people here. And so, you know me, I'm kind of a type A, not one to let the grass grow under my feet, whatever all those crazy expressions are. And then you've met my husband, and he takes it from here to there, right? Off the screen, off the charts. So I guess what really made us sit down and figure out what is our plan going to be is the idea that, he might not be here. We wouldn't have a 10-year anniversary together. We wouldn't have somebody and our little tripod with a mom and a dad and a little son in our family. And when faced with that kind of literally life-changing decision, you've got to figure out how you're going to change and what you're going to do to figure it out. And so that's when, the project planning went into place, and we said, hey, we're going to get this done, and what do we need to do?
Yeah. How were you able to galvanize so many people in such a short period of time?
Yeah, that's, you know what, when, Sharon and I talked about this and we said, well, we were going to do this, I kind of went back and looked at things because I really hadn't kind of looked at the timeline of what we did and how we did it for a while. We were able to get the kidney transplant done in February. And of course, then we've had COVID hit and all kinds of crazy has happened. So reflecting back on it, it made me go, wow, we really did do some kind of amazing work. Like pat myself on the back here.
The cape was on. The cape was on.
The cape was on. But I think it's about taking that one moment in time that we had to make a difference and taking our whole life experiences and figuring out how they were going to work in this one moment in time. Because it's not like we could just turn on Facebook and go and speak into a chamber of one. We've got a lot of people. I've got a lot of people on Facebook. Abby's got a lot of people on Facebook. We've both lived and worked around the country. So we've got these deep relationships in different parts of the country and even the world where we knew that there could be a resource. And even if it wasn't somebody who's a loved one of us, maybe it was somebody else's loved one who might be a fit. And as I said, we just wanted to get the word out because we had no idea that there was such a need in this country for kidneys and other organs, by the way. But for us, it was the kidney question. And we just asked. And I think that was the hardest part, was just looking at it as sharing something that was really private and really personal with a whole audience of people that we didn't know, with the understanding that we were just looking for a solution to a problem. and we didn't know where to find the solution, but we knew we had a path to do it, and we were going to reach out to as many people as possible.
Yeah. So, I mean, my understanding of the story is, just to give the audience a little background, there's some time between when you realize that you need to have a transplant and when you're actually able to be screened for a transplant to see who might be a good match for you, right? So what does that timeline look like? And well, what did it look like for you guys? Because I know it changed a little bit.
Right. So Abby's numbers with his lab work really came down in October to be that he qualified for a transplant. And when we started calling in October and doing our research as to where we would want to go and who has the healthcare system that we'd want to be a part of and that really had a good track record, we were getting initial estimates that they couldn't see us until February. We got another estimate that they wouldn't be able to see us until May or until December, even just to get in the door and get the official diagnosis for transplant, get all the blood work that would say, like, yes, he's a good candidate. And it was only when those pieces took place where we would be able to actually start screening people.
Wow.
Well, what ended up happening is we went live about a month after we initially got the diagnosis that he would fit. We went live with our information on November 16th with a Facebook and a website, some Twitter, but mostly Facebook and a website and a whole email campaign to our friends and family that aren't maybe on one of those, channels. And the KU Living Donor Office got so many calls on that Monday. We went live on Saturday. They got so many calls on that Monday to be screened, and they kept saying, we don't have an Obby Singh in the system. We don't have an Obby Singh in the system. What are you talking about? They called us then and said, okay, we know we said February, but we end up having an opening this Thursday. Could you come in Thursday, November 21st, to be screened? And we're like, yeah, I think we can make that happen.
Wow.
So, I think it's a lesson in persistence. It's a lesson in not taking no the first time. It's a lesson in knowing that there is an answer out there and you just have to keep focused on it. Even when we were trying to get a second opinion and we've gotten a date at Mayo, first, they didn't want to give us a date. They're like, oh, we can wait. You don't really need to work on it. Oh, we've got the supervisor that needs to approve it first. And Abby was literally on the phone going, what's your supervisor's name and what's the phone number? I'm going to call them now, and then I'm going to call you back. And then you're going to not pencil me in. You're going to ink me into your system, and we're going to get that date.
That's right.
Just not being willing to say no, not being willing to hear no, and then figuring out a route that we could take in order to get it done.
Wow.
That's my girl.
Well, a good friend once called me a systems and processes guru.
Yes, ambassador of systems and processes. Yes, that's what I know her to be. So tell me, so you have a son, Samir.
Mm-hmm.
How did you include him into the process? Because he's the part of the three-leg tripod, as you put it.
He sure is. He is incredibly mature for his age. He was in the second grade at the time. He knew that Daddy had kidney issues. We've been in the hospital before with kidney stones. And so we knew that Daddy's body doesn't always work the way that everybody's body is supposed to in order to help make a body healthy. How we explained it is that it's just like having a toy that has a need for a special battery. And we might not have that battery in our house, and we might have to order it on Amazon. We might have to go to a special battery store, and we might have to wait for a little bit in order to get that battery in. But then once that battery is here, that toy is going to work. Well, Daddy needs a battery, and it's a special battery. And we're going to have to keep looking around for that battery until we find the right one. And Mommy's going to see if her battery is the right one. And Uncle Nick's going to see, all these people are saying that they're going to get tested for it. And we're thankful for that. But we are just going to keep focused on finding that battery until we make it happen. And
so
that
we have a
seemed
question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, that seemed to resonate with him. You know, he's got a lot of toys with a lot of batteries. You know, Todd, I feel like I should have bought Duracell stock about 10 years ago because I'm helping them out right now. But, you know, it was to me a way that we could explain it to him without scaring him about what the future may hold. It took on a new dimension when it was the opportunity that my kidney matched his. In fact, after we told him that news, he went to bed that night. The first time he got up the next morning, and the first thing he asked, I'm looking around like someone's going to shock me, like I'm on Ellen, like someone's going to come out of the box. But the first thing he asked is, well, Daddy, if you get Mommy's kidney, will you have to pee sitting down?
That's so funny.
Out of the mouths of babes, right? So the answer is no. The answer is no, by the way. Just, you know, anatomically, things still work the way they are always supposed to work. But I believe that he handled it really well, and he was able to tell his friends about it and his class about it, and in a way be another ambassador for the story about kidney disease, because it is such a prevalent one in this country. And we're really excited about just being able to use our story to get the word out so others are aware of the opportunity to give either while you're living, because you can operate on one kidney, or after you've passed, and making sure that you're signed up to be an organ donor so that your life can go on and give other folks new lives.
Yeah. We have a question from our audience. Miss Gail asks, did he qualify for the program where you have someone donate to the bank and you get one from the bank?
That's a great question, Miss Gail. So I believe she's talking about something called the paired exchange. So that would basically work that if I ended up being a good candidate for a kidney donation, but I didn't match my husband, that I would be entered into the organ bank to then match with somebody else. So that was going to be kind of our next step. If I didn't match Abby, but since I ended up matching Abby, then we didn't have to kind of go to that resource. But that helps out a lot of people. And sometimes it's not even just a one-way match, like 2 people here and 2 people here go. It ends up being like a 10-person chain to make it all work. And it's really amazing how they do it and how they look at everything from blood type to antigen type and anatomy of people. And I have so much respect for the folks that are in the organ transplant business, because it is amazing what they do on a day-to-day basis to make things happen.
Yeah.
You shared something with me prior, and if you could just talk about it just really quickly, is about how the kidney or the organ donation is really set up regionally.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so if you're on the East Coast, you're not likely to get something from, say, the Midwest, where they actually give a lot more. Can you just talk a little bit about how that works? Or what?
Now you're making me go back to my.
Can I throw you off? I'm sorry, Anna. That was my bad.
Well, I think here's the first thing. The way organ donation works in this country is broken. It is stupid. It is whack. It is like we shouldn't have to have bake sales in order to get a good organ in this country. You know, we should not have to go on Facebook and create our own Facebook page in order to save my husband's life. We shouldn't have to make car decals. We shouldn't have to, advertise on jumbotrons at professional sports games in order to get a life-saving organ. So just on the base, on the foundation here, the way we get organs is broken in this country. The second way we get organs is that it's organized in a regional way. So I think there's 9 regions. It might be 13. My brain's a little foggy right now. And, there's a lot of population density on the coasts. And so there's a lot of need out there with not as many people wanting to give, especially on a living basis. Whereas in the Midwest, there's a lot of folks that are like hardy and Midwesterners, you hear the kind of stereotypes. But there's a lot more folks that give both living and deceased. So we were trying from a strategy standpoint to try to get listed in the different regions. So if there would be a deceased donor come up, we would be eligible for that. But most folks wait for 3 to 5 years in order to get a deceased donor. And we knew we didn't have that kind of time. We probably would have had to go on dialysis, if not something else more severe. So that's why we really wanted to focus in on the living donation part and getting in that organ transplant as quickly as we could. So does that help? I don't know if that was a good explanation.
Yeah, no, that was it. Yeah, that was it.
A convoluted system.
I have a question about the living donation versus the deceased organ donation. So, for example, like I have organ donor on my driver's license. That means that probably after I die, right, you can have my organs. Like if I'm in a car accident or something, they'll know to save my organs. But how would I be able to say, I got an extra kidney? Like if somebody wants it, they can have it, you know? Like I know I'm on the bone marrow transplant. Like there's a system for that, and I've been tested and they have my information. So if somebody needs bone marrow and I'm a match, they can call me and say, hey, right? Is there something like that for kidneys?
That's an awesome question. And thank you for participating in the Be the Match program and for being an organ donor for Afterlife as well. I think there's a couple of challenges that come up here. Some people think that when they sign the organ donation card, or get it put on their driver's license, that it's not only for Afterlife, but that they somehow get put into some magical database for living donors, and that's not the case. Some people think when they sign up for Be the Match, which is the bone marrow program, that then puts them in that same magical database to be eligible for all living organs. Not the case. So there is not one national holistic database that comes into. Some transplant centers don't even take what they call altruistic donors unless that altruistic donor has somebody specifically to be named. So, maybe you saw a news story on somebody who needs an organ donor, and then you call in and say, hey, I want to be screened for Singh, which happened to us from a gentleman who saw a news story on Christmas Eve, who we did not know from Adam, and followed through with the screening process and tried to give. So certain transplant centers treat it differently than others. What we would like to do, and thank you so much for mentioning the opportunity for giving, is we're looking into the opportunity to make basically an online match program, kind of like a match.com for kidneys. We think that there's applicability for liver, for pancreas, for other things that come along the same route. But there's really an opportunity to sing it loud and sing it proud that there are lots of ways to give. We love blood donors. We love plasma donors. Be the Match for blood marrow or bone marrow. But there's also an opportunity to give for kidneys, pancreas, and liver are the top three while you're alive. And there are some programs out there, some other websites, and they've kind of hem and haw. And two of the ones that I've heard about, we didn't even hear about until after we found our match. So they're not very widely known. And we have a concept to a little bit better known, make it a nationwide footprint with partnerships with the transplant centers. And it's still kind of a little mustard seed that we have to, nourish and try to figure out how to grow it into the idea that we see it working. But I have faith that we've got some opportunities to make it happen with some great business partnerships from friends that are making the introductions for us, Ms. Sharon.
Nice.
It's an opportunity for us to just take our story and the lessons we've learned to a different level and try to spread the word for other folks on how they can get matched.
Nice.
So tell us about #SupermanSuperKidney.
So Abhi is a very dynamic guy, if I do say so myself. And he happens to like this Superman t-shirt. And so when he went into the center for the first time, he wore it along with a pair of like red, what we would have called jams back in the day, red Hawaiian shorts. It was November. It was cold, but his focus was going in with a positive attitude and making sure there wasn't anything that we can't handle. So Superman, Super Kidney came out of that. We wanted something that was catchy. We wanted something that people could identify with. We wanted something, a URL that wasn't already taken. Those are all problems in the branding world.
Yes.
It stuck, and we were able to, go along with the Superman stuff every time we went into the transplant center. He always wore what he called his transplant uniform. And then as we got into the search more and we were trying to spread the word about kidneys, then we did, I'll stand up, t-shirts.
Yes.
So we got I Heart Kidneys t-shirts. And we had a magical piece on the back too that was unicorns, and it had our URL on it. And it was just another way of spreading the word, so it wasn't just us, it was our friends and family who brought it. So even maybe if they were being screened or not qualified to be screened, other people would see it and be able to say, never really thought about that before.
Yeah. That's cool. We got a couple of comments. Someone named Avi Singh's watching, and he says, those are awesome shorts. Those are awesome shorts.
Of course he's watching. Yeah. If you go to www.allbeneedsadkidney.com, you'll be able to see pictures.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jazz Richardson says, how has this changed your relationship with your husband? And are you taking care of yourself?
Oh, thanks, Jazz. Great question. I thought we had a pretty strong relationship going into it, and I think this whole journey has made it even stronger. We often joke that when we first started dating back in Baltimore, that he only stayed with me for 6 months because I had Springsteen tickets. And we made it past that mark and then some. But I think he would have had to have a really long game to say like, oh yeah, I'm going to stay with her because she might give me a kidney 9 years down the line. That's a really long game. So I think it's made us even tighter. There's so much that goes into, I think, any relationship that people just don't know unless you're the two people in it. And I think this gave us another dimension of love and faith in one another and just a commitment to make it work. And so that's been a really heartwarming part about it. It'll be 10 years married next March. So we celebrated our 9th anniversary just 1 month after transplant. So it's been just kind of a really crazy time for everything to happen. And yes, I am taking care of myself. Everybody wants to talk about self-care, right? But I think one thing that the transplant did was just make us slow down. This was before COVID. We couldn't go out afterwards. We couldn't talk, to other people. We were quarantining before quarantining was cool. And we had a lot of folks that were caring for us. We had friends and family that came in to be our caretakers for a couple weeks. Our local village here put together a meal train and got us meals, so I didn't have to worry about cooking. And we had extra play dates with Samir, so he was being taken care of. But yeah, you definitely had to just look at how we were going to get through it, and it was definitely with the help of friends and families and comfy pajamas, which I think everybody should have, right? I mean, Oprah talked about that way back in the day, like a good pair of pajamas will save your life. And I feel like we lived in pajamas in February and March, just while we were recovering and getting stronger every day.
Very nice.
I want to just put this into perspective for everyone who's watching. How long on average does it take for, and I think you spoke to it, how long on average does it take for a person to get a kidney if they're waiting on a donor?
So if it's a deceased donor, you can sometimes be on the list 3, 5, even 7 years is not unusual. Just to get evaluated can sometimes take up to 6 months. We know some folks that are going through the process right now that they're living donors. Well, take COVID out of the situation, even pre-COVID, it would take sometimes 6 or 7 months to get donors through the process. We got diagnosed in October, and we had the surgery in February. So it was 4 months from start to finish that we were able to get it done.
That's amazing.
That is why you are a rock star.
That's right. Comments are coming in, Anna. I want you to hear this. You rock, Anna. Superman, for a superwoman. Hearts and applause. Such a great story. You rock, Anna. And Avi says those shorts are almost as awesome as his wife. One more question. Does age make a difference at all with the donors, I guess?
Good question. So the general answer is as long as you're under 60 and in good health, you can donate. There's even been some folks like 60 and 70 that have donated. The main thing is you have to have a good BMI. You can't have high blood pressure. You can't have diabetes. If you've had cancer in the past, there's some metrics that they look at as far as the type and the treatment and all that good stuff. But it's much more about, blood type is important, whether you can match that person that needs it or can go into a paired match for somebody else. But the blood pressure and the diabetes are two of the things that kick people out. So it's really important, 1 in 3 Americans are at risk for kidney disease because of high blood pressure, hypertension issues in this country. Folks that have a family issue of kidney disease are more likely to have issues with kidney disease. So, it goes back to that taking care of yourself, getting into the doctor, following up with medication, having a healthy lifestyle, getting out and trying to walk and, keep things kind of in the whole to take care of yourself, because it's better for you, it's better for others, and who knows, you might be able to give a kidney or a liver. Yeah. Part of your liver, they don't take the whole thing.
I know you shared somebody else, and so that statistic about 1 in 3. I know I took the test. I'm not the one of this 3, so.
Yes. We're at the point of our interview.
Wait, we've got a couple more questions. Yeah, okay. Questions. A comment: determination and love will move mountains. Amen.
Yes, amen.
2 last questions, and then we'll go to the conclusion. What are some common misconceptions about being a live donor? And then, was this in Avi's family?
So I'll take the second first. It was not a family history trait. His was actually caused by a kidney infection that he got when he was a kid. And it just kind of ended up deteriorating over time. That even when he was a kid, his pediatric nephrologist said, if you make it to 40 and haven't had a kidney transplant by then, you'll be lucky. And he made it to 43. So we kind of knew that this was coming at one point or another. Although I will say people of color have higher risk factors. So my husband is Indian, the Latino community, the African-American community, all have higher risk factors and higher incidence of kidney disease. So really important to take care of yourselves and each other. And if you go to the National Kidney Foundation, nkf.org, you'll see there's like a 90-second quiz that you can take. It's probably the one that you took, Tasha, that can give you a good overview whether it's an issue for you to consider and talk about your doctor. I think as far as misconceptions about living donors, I don't have to pee more often. That was one of the big questions. The kidney is kind of amazing and your body recovers, and my healthy kidney has rejuvenated and takes care of my body just like a system of 2 did. It doesn't have to be a race match. It doesn't have to be a gender match. It doesn't have to be an adult to kid match. Sometimes adults can give to pediatrics who need it, to kids who need it. You can't give until you're over, I think, 18 or 21. So that's one of those that, once you're a recent college grad, you might want to consider it. And I think the big misconception is that it's going to cost me a lot of money to donate. And one of the things that we learned is it is the transplant recipient's insurance that covers everything for the living donor. Nice. So yes, we happen to be under the same roof and we're paying the bills one way or another, right? But if Sharon ended up being the kidney donor for Abby, our insurance would have covered her evaluation, her lab work, her surgery, her after follow-up, all of that. There are some loose ends about covering lost income if people have to take off time for the surgery. There's a couple of programs that can help that out from a foundation standpoint to replenish lost income. But otherwise, there should be no cost to the living donor or to those who want to get screened to try to help. That's a big one.
Nice.
Okay. Listen. All right. So now we've come to the points of our conversation, very much inspired by Inside the Actor Studio with all the same questions, but one. And that is Tasha's portion of the show. Go ahead, Tasha.
All right. Anna, what's your favorite word?
Word in general?
In general.
I was waiting for the other one. I think love. Love.
Yeah.
Word. We love love, right?
We love love.
Yeah.
We love love.
All right. What's your least favorite word?
There's a word that starts with a C and 3 letters after it. I can't see. But also moist. A lot of people, moist, it's just a weird word. I don't like it.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
I think something that can change your outlook. It might be something you've read or a speaker you've heard, but something that makes you go, aha, I never thought about that before.
Mm-hmm. What turns you off?
Reading dumb stuff on Facebook. Ignorance is just an awful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
Here's when you're waiting for. What's your favorite curse word?
I hope my son is still not listening downstairs.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Thank you for whispering that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What sound or noise do you love?
I think when my son hugs me and he has this that he does when he just kind of collapses into you.
Yeah.
Oh.
What sound or noise do you hate?
YouTube, Roblox. I think her name is Logan or something. She has the most annoying voice that my son likes to listen to, and it just drives me crazy. It's worse than nails on a chalkboard.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I think downhill skiing looks so awesome. I don't know if that's a really profession. I mean, I guess, right?
Yeah, Olympian, right?
They're on the ABC Sports. So I would say that just looks like amazing and at the same time so fear-inducing. I don't know if I could do it, but to watch those folks and just how effortless they do it, it's really awesome.
Yeah.
And
what profession would you not like to try?
School bus driver. Nope. Nope. And if I was back in Baltimore, I'd just probably put it to MTA bus driver because there's no way I would go.
Lord have mercy. Yeah. Yeah.
Those folks are so special to do that job because it is so hard between the people and the traffic and the construction and the routes. It's just a special person that can do that.
The streets itself.
Oh, yeah. The potholes.
Potholes. But in fairness, we all have Baltimore's a very special place. We're not downing Baltimore because it's a special place for all of us.
Yes.
For all of us, yep.
For all of us. For all of us.
Who or what holds you accountable?
My husband.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good.
He'll call me out on it. Mm-hmm.
And if you believe in heaven, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Took you a while.
That means you're gonna live till you're like 120 or something like that.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. I mean, when you think about how much our elders have seen in their lifetime, and we were just talking about with Samir and having COVID school and virtual school, like what is that going to look like? What is college going to look like in 20 years? Like, I just think it's been amazing to see the transitions, even with transplants, you know, it didn't really happen until the 50s, and saw a big transition in the 80s with antibiotics. And I think as amazing as what it is now, transplant people in 20 years are going to be like, what were they thinking doing it this way? Because there's just so much that we still don't know. And I'm hopeful that we can see that in our lifetime and see more and more folks being taken care of and not have to wait and be in pain.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you know, one of the things that I love about being friends with Sharon is that I feel like her friends are also my friends. This is the first time that we've actually spoken to each other, but I've heard so much about you. And thank you so much for spending time with us this evening. I've learned a lot, like preparing for this chat and even listening to you talk this evening. And so thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Tasha. I feel the same. You know, our sweet Sharon has been so amazing in so many ways, from strategy sessions and being there and just being a light when you need it after a long day.
Oh, guys.
It's amazing that you guys are doing this work and helping to spread the word about, you know, just being accountable to yourself and to your goals, and you know, trying to spread good words. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here and share a little bit about kidney transplants and living donor.
I got a lot of rock stars in my life. And can I just say before we go here, what I've been telling Tasha all week, which is amazing, how many project managers I have in my life. I don't know what that says about me. You know what I mean? Like, I got a lot. I don't know what that says, because I don't see myself as a project manager type at all. But yeah, they're all over me. Mm-hmm. I attract you guys.
We got the other ladies in the chat saying they feel like they know you and love you too, Anna. Jazz.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay. So one more time for everyone who's watching, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, right? You can also, this is Anna Custer Singh. If you want to find her on social media, that's her name. That's the hyphen. That's SINGH, right? You can follow their hashtag Superman Super Kidney on Facebook. She leans more to that, folks. Okay. And we are Tasha and Sharon. We are the Accountability Queens. We're just here just to try to bring some light and to bring people together so they can achieve all that they set out to achieve and be everything they want to be. I want to say thank you for everyone. Check us out next week. We'll have someone else incredibly dynamic joining us. I don't know who yet, but wait. It's going to be fantastic. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Right. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you.